But we still got plenty of football to get to, right?
No.
The Bears. That's secondary, all right? And we could talk about that secondary because they got some nice pieces in that secondary.
Yeah, they got some big pieces.
Well, pull up the graphic.
Yeah. Okay.
But the 33rd team came out with this graphic, and they had the kahunas to put Kindle Vildor on the graphic. Are you kidding?
This is some Toledo stuff right here.
Kindle Vildor. That sounds like a character from Harry Potter, and he's on this graphic. Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, Eddie Jackson. I get that.
There's a couple
even
guys on that
Tyreek
list.
Stevenson. He's got a nice too.
He's a rookie though.
But he's a rookie, and you got Kindle Vildor.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yes, Connor. Who the f is that guy?
Is he a rookie?
I don't know who the hell that is.
I'm about to Google.
We need to
Google
figure out who this. That might be a
And
fake person.
Dave Winnestedt, I believe is how I pronounce his name. He
Who
says
names their kid Kindle too? Like a Kindle Fire or
They
something?
like to
He's
read,
he's
bro.
a reading tablet?
Yeah, they like to read.
that
They're
man.
readers.
That man said, I think
I
the
feel
Bears.
Like he might have been born before the Kindle came out.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, definitely.
He was a 5th round pick in the 2020 draft, so he's been around the league.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Shout out to Kindle though. man.
Dave says, and this is, I think he's a part of the 33rd team. He did one of these articles, and he says, I think the Bears are going to be the best secondary in the division. Okay. Well, let me tell you something, Dave.
Wow.
I'll tell you one thing. I pray to Jesus. I pray to Jesus or whoever, Allah, whoever your God is. I pray that Amon-Ra St. Brown lines up against Kindle Vildor. I hope
That's
so.
barbecue chicken.
He's getting that man for what? Eight for $150? 8 for $150? That's who's on the graphic over. Let's just go through it very easily. Cam Sutton. We like him, right? Pretty damn good corner. Emmanuel Mosley, in a short period when he was healthy, pretty damn good corner. We'll keep going. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 6 picks in 12 games. One of the marquee free agents of this past offseason. Kirby Joseph, and I just compared his rookie year to Ed Reed
Literally
yesterday.
all 4 of the players you just said are better than all 4 of the players that so far are on the screen for the Bears.
Tracy Walker, who just a year prior to last year had over 100 tackles.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing? I'm telling you right now, I'll take Jerry Jacobs over Kindle Vildor.
I'll take Brian Branch.
Jacob to the whole bottom row.
But I'm saying this, and that's not an insult to Jerry. I think
No,
Jerry's already getting reps at this, in Emmanuel Mosley's spot. So Jerry's that dude. But also Brian Branch, one of the most sought after guys, and he fell way past where he should have went, which was he was the best safety in this class. So if you're going to judge Kindle Vildor, a 5th round pick, why don't we take into consideration Booner, the guy who started since his freshman year at Alabama? How about we do that?
Or even we're leaving someone else off. I would rather take Will Harris over some of those guys. I don't think Lucas likes Will Harris.
You do that decision.
But let's be honest. Like, Dan Campbell loves Will Harris. Like, we have guys on here, and I went and read one of these 33rd team things that had the Bears secondary ranked over the Detroit Lions. I think it was like the Bears were like 19th and we were like 23rd.
Yeah.
But I went and read it, and I was wondering, like, why did they have that? The reason that they had there was, they just have a new secondary. It's going to take them some time to come together and just vibe together. Like, what kind of argument is that? Go look at the players and see the dogs that we have in the secondary. Don't say, they might get off to a slow start. What if they go out and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, like I said earlier, and that secondary intercepts Patrick Mahomes 2 or 3 times? They jump up to the top 10 instantly. CJ gets an interception. Kirby, boom, takes it to the house. Cam Sutton, 4 pass deflections. You see what I'm saying here? Like, be honest, 33rd team. What are we doing?
You know what's funny?
That secondary compared to the Detroit Lions. Be honest with yourself. Do you know football?
I think
they don't know ball.
They don't know ball. Lucas knows ball.
If you're going best secondary, and maybe, I don't even know, maybe I'm being friendly here. I think it's the Lions. But the only team that I would even consider, Lucas, is the Packers.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, where, did the Packers just fall off a bridge?
Only one you could.
What happened?
Not even that. I would just love to, if you look at this, you bring the list back up. So you have if we were talking to him, if we were talking to Dave, and he says, I think the Bears are going to be the best secondary division, I would just like to look the man in his eye and simply ask him why. Because there's no reasoning Just why? Why will the Bears have the best secondary in the NFC North in 2023? Because he's not going to be able to give you a reason. He's going to expect Jalen Johnson to turn into a Pro Bowler. Jalen Johnson's mid. Jaquan Brisker is very nice. I think he's like one of those Jalen Petrie. I think he's a little bit under Kirby's ceiling, but he's a nice, solid guy. Eddie Jackson past his prime. Kyler Gordon, mid. Tyreek Stevenson's a man-to-man corner out of Miami that's going to have a lot of holding issues. And then I don't even need to speak on Kindle Vildor, okay?
Hey.
You go to the Vikings. They have Lewis Seen, who was a rookie last year, was the last pick in the first round. He's coming off a huge injury. That's all they have in the secondary. And the Packers, they have a very nice secondary. I think the Packers, I'm going to say the Packers right now, just because how I saw them play, especially towards the later end of the season. I'm going to say right now they have a better secondary than the Lions, but I think that changes because you have Jay Alexander, Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas is very nice. I like Darnell Savage still. They have decent safeties, but their corner room is stacked. So to even fathom putting the Bears over one, the Lions, and two, the Packers is just absolutely insane. I think the Bears might have the worst secondary in the league because even the Vikings have Harrison Smith, or in the NFC North, I'm sorry.
No, and by the way, like Dave, or like Winstead, like he does great work, by the way. Like he's a former coach, he's a good analyst. I like hearing
Former
his
coach
stuff.
for a reason, I see.
Well, well, yes, I value his opinion. Like I've seen him on different programs before, but my question is, and Chuck says it, and I totally forgot about this. Dave was actually a former. He was the guy's a former Bears head coach. So again, I don't know.
Oh, that is. I didn't know that.
There's some bias there, but more than
It's
that,
like Adam Rank.
get
out of here.
Yeah, there
Adam
you go.
Rank, I would
Don't
punch
you
Adam
shouldn't
Rank
be
in his
allowed to
face.
talk about the Chicago Bears.
Don Beat says Mims getting 3 touchdowns against that secondary. He also says
Mims is going to be hims against that secondary.
he also says Tom Kennedy. Hey, okay, JB. He says Tom
drop.
Kennedy could shred that secondary. And I love this comment too, and I forgot who said it specifically, but it was pretty good stuff. They were talking about, let me see here. Yeah, Mr. Wizards. He says former Cowboys assistant coach also, so that also kind of questions, if you're working for the Cowboys,
Hear a lot of former.
Yeah, a lot of former.
Former, now writer.
And by the way, guys, this the only team, again, to kind of recap this, you're talking about the Lions secondary. I mean, the number one corner this year for Cam Sutton, I know he kind of goes under the radar, but people forget Cam Sutton last year only allowed a 47% completion percentage when thrown against him.
In the AFC North.
In the AFC North, Joe Burrow, Lamar, like now Deshaun, but he was partially out, but still,
The
regardless.
receivers in his division are
Absolutely.
like that.
And
What about
they got
Emmanuel
dudes.
Mosley when he comes back from injury? That's just another. The secondary is stacked right now. I don't see how you can look at that and say they could have the best
It's a top
one.
10 secondary on paper, and then with the coaching of Aaron Glenn, which I think is widely underrated just because of the skill talent that he has, the amount of talent in the secondary is going to be able to be on the field more. We talk about the linebacker position for the Lions being kind of weaker. Well, now we can plug the safeties in there, so we're going to be able to run Viper packages and have 5-6 DBs on the field. You can run 4-2-6, whatever you want to do with that. There's so many packages he's going to run. Aaron Glenn's going to have a field day, and they're top 10 on paper, and with good coaching, I think they're going to play above that, probably top 8 secondary.
Let's go football. Who do you think? Who has a better defensive line?
Whoa, speaking of that, they just signed Yannick
Yeah,
Ngata.
Okay, with that though,
Yannick's a good signing.
do
but-
they have a defensive line that's going to be able to help that secondary out and push them over the Detroit
now
Lions or
that's
the Packers?
now that's a different question.
And by the end of the season, you're going to say, okay, who produced more? What secondary was better? How are you going to do that,
Dave Wanstead, you speak. You speak.
David?
How is this? And by the way, Yannick, I mean, he is he's underrated.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's going to travel around the league about 5 times, but every place he goes, he's going to be productive. When he was in Minnesota, he was good. When he was in Jacksonville, he was elite. And I think with the Colts last year, he put up like 8.5, 9.5 sacks. So we talk about the Bears needing a pass rusher. They just got it. With all that being said, we still have Penei Sewell. We still have Taylor Decker. And they can have Yannick Ngakoue because we have Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston. So, yes, it's a good signing for them. But the more I think about it, the less worried I get.
Yeah, it was a must-needed signing for the
100%.
Bears. I mean,
They needed something.
They needed some veteran defensive linemen. They got one, a guy who is again not premier, but someone that can get you 8 sacks right in a season.
They got their Charles Harris and Romeo Okwara.
Right, there you go. So yeah, this whole Dave, on your take about the Bears being the best secondary, that's a bunch of bogus.
Take a hike.
If you're going to mention a list with Kindle Vildor,
Should rethink the minute that name gets written on a paper. You'd be like, yeah, I should probably restart what I'm doing. I think I messed up here. I think I went down the wrong alley somewhere.
Throw Dave and Adam Rank in a room together. Let them watch football. Just don't talk about it to us about the Bears.
Lock them in there and never let them out.
Mason
Please.
Leach is chiming in. He says the Lions have the #1 pass rush in the NFC North and a top 15 in the NFL, possibly top 10. I think potentially yes. I don't know if they have depth is the main thing, yes, but talent besides Aiden and maybe a flash of James, there's not really Romeo. Yeah, but Aleem hasn't. He had a good year last year, but he's not like one of the premier defensive tackles.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's a little time, and I get people. People hate when they say, "Well, I got to see it," but it's true. This defensive line, like I saw a flash of James Houston, just lightning in a bottle.
Yep.
Can he do it again? We shall see. But no doubt, Mason, they do have potential on that defensive line. No doubt about it.